but we're going to move on into our next segment. We're going to stay in the Northeast, going from the NFC to the AFC, and we're going to be going to New England, to Boston, where first 4 games of the year, Julian Edelman's already spoken about it. It was a sad time when Tom Brady had to start serving his suspension. Edelman compared it to having your best friend go to jail. One of your best buddies, he said, go into jail. And
it's a dumb comparison.
And hey, Jimmy Garoppolo's the guy now. He is the guy for the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the Texans, and the Buffalo Bills games. And I know that people have already, before listening to me these first few seconds, maybe even a minute, I don't know exactly how long I've been talking right now, have already commented that the title on YouTube is stupid, but I'm going to throw it to you anyways. Does Garoppolo take Tom Brady's job?
The storyline person in me wants me to say yes so badly.
You basically want Garoppolo to do the same thing to Brady that Brady did to Bledsoe.
It's full circle. It would just be beautiful. It would be beautiful.
Poetic justice.
Right? But, you know, it's just not going to happen. The cards are not there. It's not right. You know, we look at a guy like Peyton Manning, who we were just talking about a little bit ago, and Peyton Manning immediately fell off the face of the earth. He just suddenly was a terrible quarterback. Now, reasons for that is he did have, you know, like a degenerative nerve issue going on in his back. So there was a lot going on. He just lost the ability to really play at the level he was. Tom Brady is not there. You know, he is not a guy who has lost that ability yet. He will not lose that ability for quite a few more years. So I don't think he's necessarily going to play till he's 50, 60 like he thinks he might. But yeah, he still at least has 3, maybe even 4 years in him. So Jimmy Garoppolo, he can play lights out. It's not going to happen. The best case scenario, he does play lights out. He fucking lights it up and everybody loves him. And people are saying, you benched that scrub Tom Brady. We've got the real deal right here. And you know what Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft do? They trade him. They trade him to a team that needs it. You know, maybe Sam Bradford already got hurt. Maybe RG3 already got hurt. Maybe Dak Prescott shows us that, oh, he sucks. You know, he is terrible. And Tony Romo's not ready yet. There's Jimmy Garoppolo. The best thing for them is that they can trade this guy because they've already drafted another quarterback out there. Tom Brady's pretty convinced he's going to play forever. Don't worry about it. You know, if you can do something well, don't just stash this guy because he's not going to wait around. Go ahead and trade him if you can. Well,
and that's why, to me, these first 4 games for Garoppolo,
it's his audition,
are very important. Not for the kind of for the Patriots, because it's one of those things where, let's say he does go 4-0. I'm not saying he's going to, but let's say he goes 4-0 and he plays lights out. Tom Brady comes back. There's no question. It's kind of like what I said last week in our Dak Prescott. There's no way Romo doesn't come back. Dak, get to the bench. Know your place, rookie.
I think it's a different situation, but that's a different podcast.
With Jimmy Garoppolo, it's get to the bench. The king is here. The GOAT is back. And then the Patriots just have it. They go, okay, we got 2 years to trade him. We got all of this year if we want. We've got all the offseason if we want. We got all next year if we want. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I think happens is if Garoppolo does knock it out of the park, let's say 3-1, 4-0, shows some good skills, plays well.
Throws like 8 touchdowns or something.
Don't let him walk. Don't let him walk. Because the one thing that will happen is I don't care if you think, hey, Tom, in 2 years you're not starting, or if you think Garoppolo is really going to take over for Brady, if you're Robert Kraft or Bill Belichick, when he hits free agency, he's going to walk. He's not going to stay with you. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent after the 2017 season. He's going to walk because some team is going to give him money. Some team that needs a quarterback is going to throw money at him. Could be, and at that time, could be the Browns. Could even be the Vikings. Teddy Bridgewater might not even be back. Let's say we're sitting here after the 2017 season. Sam Bradford hasn't done much. Teddy's not kind of progressing from his injury. Either of those teams could throw money. Jay Cutler could be going with the Bears, and the Bears could be looking for a quarterback, getting Jimmy Garoppolo. So if he plays well, you trade him. You have 2 seasons to do, but you have to do it because I think that if he hits that free agent mark, Garoppolo ain't coming back.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect scenario for the Patriots. I mean, the worst thing, there's no worst case scenario. If it doesn't go well and he loses all of them, he throws a bunch of interceptions, whatever. You let another guy take his place and you let him just wither away on the bench. You cut him one day. Whatever. It's not a big deal. If he goes out there and is extremely successful, you trade him. You can trade him immediately because someone will get hurt. There's already quarterbacks that are hurt. Somebody's quarterback will not play anywhere near as well as you thought. Somebody will drop off or who knows what will happen where some team will have a need because it'll be week 4 going into week 5 when he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a few more weeks for some team to need him. Someone's going to need him. Someone will be willing to pay.
Someone's going to call me crazy for this, but I think the best case scenario for the Patriots is if he goes 2-2 or 1-3, but plays well. The reason why I say that is if he goes 1-3, but the Patriots think he played well, then they're sitting there going, yes, we can work with him some more. While Tom Brady thinks he's going to play for 10 more years, no one's going to be asking for him. We can re-sign him for cheaper when he's a free agent. That's the best case scenario for the Patriots. If he plays lights out and teams are like, oh, we should start trading for him, if I'm Robert Kraft, I'm going, fuck. Because that means we lost. That means we have to trade him or we're going to lose him.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. I think that for a team like the Patriots who are so good at the draft, I'd rather have the draft picks. Because I just kind of don't see the timelines matching up well. Mm-hmm. And we're going to run into, a situation of the older quarterback and the young gun sitting there if he does too well. If he's doing too well, if he's even just doing, well enough, the topic of conversation is going to be there next year. It's going to be there the year after that. Eventually people are going to talk about when is Garoppolo going to push Tom Brady out of the door. So it just kind of ends that either way, and they get something good out of it. They get good draft picks. And the Patriots, I think, yeah, they're constantly thinking of the future, but they really are a every year is win now year kind of team. They never think that they're not going to make the Super Bowl. They never play like they won't. They never make the additions and subtractions like they won't. They don't give a fuck. You talk about loyalty to players. Bill Belichick doesn't have any loyalty to anybody out there. He has loyalty to the Patriots and whatever makes the Patriots win.
It's like, what's their motto? Do your job.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's going to be one of those things where if what the advantage is getting rid of Garoppolo and getting a draft picks or maybe multiple draft picks, he's not going to hesitate to do that. So much so as if he's still on the roster and he's been good 2 years from now, I wouldn't put it past Bill Belichick to one day say, well, Tom, it's been nice. You're 42. It's time for you to stop. You got to stop at some point.
This is a total different question, but I'm still going to throw it out there. Do you think this happens to Tom Brady much like Brett Favre where, hey, we're moving on with this guy. Fine, I'm going to play here. Trade me. And they trade him somewhere.
Yeah, a little different because
Tom Brady isn't a free agent until after the 2019 season.
Yeah, it's a little different because Tom Brady will not have fake retired for like the third time.
I'm just saying the fact that we'll see Tom Brady end his career with a team, not the Patriots.
I don't think that he will. I think he will end it with the Patriots. The drop-off will have to happen at some point. It's not going to be probably this year. It's probably not going to be next year. But once he kind of crosses over into the 40s, I really don't think he's going to, still be lighting it up in the same way. It's going to drop off. It's not going to be as terrible as Peyton Manning, but he'll kind of, I think, know it's done. And this team is good, too. Who's to say that they don't go win a Super Bowl and Tom Brady just retires? At any point...
Well, that's a perfect scenario.
Yeah, at any point, this team can go to the Super Bowl and win. We know that for a fact. And, I forgot who was the last player to say it, but you have all these players that talk about when you get older, things are hurting, you're on your medicines now because your body's not bouncing back quite as fast. Every offseason you question, should I really come back? At what point do I need to stop? And it's not like Tom Brady needs to play for any money.
I think that was a Brett Favre thing.
It could have been.
Because Brett Favre hated the offseason when he was later in his career.
I mean, that last season, the only reason he came back is because a bunch of players came down and begged him to come back. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Brady, he's saying he's going to play till 45, till 50, but if he knows in his heart of hearts that, hey, I really don't have that much longer left.
Well, and what you just said kind of reminds me of, and I know we're getting a little bit away from the Garoppolo, and we'll get back to it, but this popped into my head. It was kind of like after he retired after the season, Charles Woodson was on the Rich Eisen show, and Rich Eisen kind of asked him the question like, hey, when did you know that you wanted to hang it up? And it was weird to hear this from an NFL player, but he said, I was in my hotel room before the game, and he's like, I just woke up, looked outside, and said, you know what? I wouldn't mind if they called me and said, you know what, there's too much snow, we're not having a game today. No one can get to the stadium. And he's like, it was that moment, week 6 or week 7 in the season, that he knew, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm retiring.
And the thing about Tom Brady, too, is it's not like he's one of those journeyman quarterbacks that can play forever because he's just good enough to win a job.
No, he's the
but
GOAT.
It's not a starting job. Yeah, he's a guy who's constantly getting those hits. He's constantly putting his body out there and being punished for it.
It was week 11. So week 11, Charles Woodson woke up before that game and was like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah. So at some point, he's going to be 40 years old. I hate to say this as someone in my mid-20s, but there are times where I do something and realize, man, I am not as young as I used to be. And I'm young still. So a guy who is, nearly, he is 14, 15 years older than me. There's going to be a day out there where something happens and he's slower to get up. It hurts a little bit more this morning than it used to. And he's going to have to ask that question of how much do I really have in me? And if he wins a Super Bowl or something like that, there's no shame in going out on that. No shame on going out on top. I think the biggest problem for Tom Brady, is he lost a couple to Eli Manning. Yeah, he beat the Seahawks. But now he's got all this Goodell stuff. He wants to go out on top. He doesn't want to do something where there's some question to the legacy being the last thing. I really don't think a guy like Tom Brady is going to be able to hang it up until he gets back on top. Whether it's just an MVP maybe, but I really think it's a Super Bowl. He's just waiting for that one more Super Bowl.
Now I'm going to ask you this question to see if you know. I should be asking Sean Anderson because I know Sean would ask this question or know this question, but does Tom Brady have any kids? Because I know he had a first wife before Giselle.
He does.
So because he had kids with the first wife?
He left her when she was pregnant, so yeah.
Okay.
He has kids.
Because that's another thing that a lot of not quarterbacks, but I've heard a lot of, you hear the NFL players go, and most of them are quarterbacks of, you know what, I got kids now, and the more hits you take, the slower it is to get up. I want to be able to do stuff with my kids. That's one thing that maybe now, because he's with Giselle, that maybe he doesn't have to. That's not one of the things that's like, oh, well, I got to worry about being with my kids and stuff like that. Where as a family man like Brett Favre or something, maybe.
Well, you see it on Hard Knocks too, is how many of those players are talking about how difficult it is to leave their kids for that amount of time. And they'll see their kid every now and then, maybe before the game, but then it's that whole week where they're not really getting the advantage of seeing their kids. Now, a guy like Tom Brady, he's right there. Tom Brady's in a completely different situation though, because he divorced the mother of his children.
Yeah.
So that is very, very, very different.
And that's why I say I don't know what the situation is like, but if it's one of those where it's like, and I'm with Giselle now, he doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be, I don't know what that thing is that really makes Tom Brady stop. Whether
an injury,
the performance,
I don't want it to be that way.
Injury,
but it could be.
The Super Bowl. I don't know what it is that makes him stop, but we all know, same thing for a guy like Drew Brees not demanding necessarily, but saying he wants 5 more years, $100 million. We know that it's going to come to an end sometime soon. We don't know when. We might not even care when, but the best thing for the Patriots get as much as you can out of Tom Brady, and then just get something for the future. It doesn't have to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo can do poorly in these 4 games, and that's okay. He can do great in these 4 games, and that's okay too. It's all going to move on because Tom Brady's going to come back.
Well, and I'm going to close this by saying you take 2 teams that are the biggest example of what could be happening with the Patriots, the Packers and the Colts. Both had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, or not Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre and Peyton Manning, and both of those teams eventually said to those 2, we're going to move on.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Aaron Rodgers and Andrew Luck.
But then you have other teams, too, like the 49ers and the Cowboys, who long ago had the best quarterbacks out there.
Or the Saints.
And then it all falls apart, you know, after you have that great quarterback leave. A lot can happen, basically. We don't know what's going to happen.
We see, I would say Favre and Manning, 2 of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in recent history. Both of those 2 didn't finish their career with who they started with. Maybe Tom Brady, for Brett Favre, he didn't end it with the Falcons because that's where he started, but really his whole career was in Green Bay. But maybe we see the same from Tom Brady.
I don't remember exactly. How old was Brett when he went to the Jets? 38?
I think he was like 39, 40.
For some reason, I feel like he was younger than Tom Brady is now. Because Tom Brady being 39... Going on? No, just turned 39.
Brett Favre is 46 right now, and he went to the New York Jets 6 years ago, so he was 40.
He was 40, okay.
He was 40 when he went to the Jets, and then he was 41, 40, because he finished at 42. He was 41, 42 the last 2 years, because those last 2 years in Minnesota, everything he did was quarterback over 40, quarterback over 40.
And pretty soon that's going to be the same thing for Tommy. Not this year, but next year. So when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo, to really answer that question, no, he's not going to push Tom Brady out there.
Eventually he could, though.
Eventually he could, but it really depends on what the Patriots organization and what their private conversations with Tom Brady are. Tom Brady, the competitor he is never going to let you... Tom Brady's like a fucking cat. That's what it is. He will never let you know when it's all about to go down until he is dropped dead on the floor. Seriously, a cat will not let you know it's sick until it's the worst fucking thing in the world and you got like thousands of dollars of vet bills. That's Tom Brady for you. He will not let you know.
Is that really how cats are?
Yeah,
I'm a dog person.
Dogs will let you know as soon as something is wrong.
I love dogs. That's why I love them.
The minute something is wrong, they are crying like little babies.
Yep, that's why I love
a cat. No, a cat's like, no, I'm good. A cat could be bleeding out of its eyes. No, I'm good. It's all right. Flesh wound.
So how do you ever know something's wrong with the cat?
It drops dead.
Just another reason why I'm a dog person and I'm not a cat person. A dog will let you know what it's feeling, what it's doing.
So you're not a Tom Brady. This is why you don't like Tom Brady. This is why you and Sean don't get along.
That's exactly why. But let us know down below what you guys think. Is Garoppolo eventually going to take over for Brady? Is he going to do well? The Patriots trade him. How do you see all this playing out?
And how long does Tom Brady really have?
Yeah, that too. I'm really interested to see what you guys think about how long Tom Brady will play and if he's going to end his career with the Patriots.